In this video, I want to talk to you about marking tools. You really don't need anything fancy. As a beginning woodworker, all you need is one of these. A pencil does the job. Really, any kind of pencil is going to work for the kinds of basic projects that you're going to be learning. I do keep a crank pencil sharpener here in the shop, so I can keep this, my pencils really sharp. And I do use these wooden pencils too. If you're going to set out and buy some pencils for your shop, get something a little harder than the regular HB. This is an H, so a little bit harder than HB, just one notch up. You can get 2H and 4H. 2H is okay. 4H is a bit hard. Doesn't really mark quite as darkly as I'd like to, but this with the pencil sharpener, that's handy. You can make marks quite easily, and this is going to serve you very well. Just marking with the square like this. That's a nice mark. It's not too dark, but you can see it too. Now, when people think of woodworking, you might think of something like this, carpenter's pencil. Completely different shape. It's flat, much coarser lead. I do not use these in my woodworking shop when I'm building furniture or interior woodworking. This is a coarse tool. This would be for marking studs and framing members if you're actually building a building. That's where something like this shines. The stout lead lasts a whole lot longer than this. Fine little lead on the tip. There's just a lot more lead here on the carpenter's pencil, and that's why you want to use it for the coarse work. But I don't actually use it much in the shop here. One thing I do use a lot is this mechanical pencil. This is pretty much like a regular pencil, but a little more precise. And you can keep your sharpener in your tool pouch, so it's never very far away. If you look here, there's two different holes. If I extend the lead and I stick it in here, and then I push it down, that extends enough lead that when I put it in the sharpener and I start turning it to sharpen it, it's going to bring it to a point. Okay, that's what we've got here. It's to a point. That's pretty well all I ever use. It's what you'd want to use for woodworking use too. But this other hole, it lets the lead stick out a little bit less far. It's a little bit closer in. Don't know if you can notice the difference from before, but if this were dull and I were to sharpen it now, it wouldn't sharpen it to a pointy point. It would be kind of a blunt point, which is not really a whole lot of use for us, for our purposes. Another thing I like to use, you may have one of these around the house. A utility knife is an excellent tool for very precisely marking things. There will come a time in your woodworking career where you need to be making a precise mark, within several thousandths of an inch of exactly where it should be. It has to be quite close. And when you're dealing with something like that, a pencil line can actually be too wide. Don't panic. Don't get upset. This isn't anything you need to do now, but in the future, sometimes you're going to want to make a mark just like that. One nice thing about doing it this way rather than a pencil is that there's no need to resharpen anything. You just make your little slit. And if you're using a power saw, like a miter saw, sometimes called a chop saw, it's entirely possible to be able to split that little mark in half, so you're on the waste half of the mark. So when you want extreme precision, a knife is the way to go. Now, this knife, like a lot of them, has a segmented blade. So when the tip gets dull, you can simply break off a chunk, and you've got another fresh segment of blade with a fresh tip. Now, to do that, what you want to do is you want to extend the blade so that the little mark is just past the point where it's being supported in the body of the knife. And so you want to press this down hard enough that it breaks off. But you want to do it with the little slit facing down. I could try to do it like this, but what happens is you have to push quite a bit harder, and because you're pushing down on the little indentation, or perforation if you call it, it doesn't break as easily as if you have that facing down. So if I press like this, I'm going to have to press quite hard to get it to break, and that bit can fly around because of the pressure. But if I simply turn it over so that the mark is on the bottom and I press it, no danger, nice fresh point, ready to go, and nothing's been flying around. Just dispose of this safely. You know, like put it in an empty pop can or something like that. You know, when you've got your cans ready for recycling, so that this doesn't fall on a floor and get in some little person's barefoot or something like that. But that's it. That's really all you need to know about marking. Start with one of these. You may have something like this around. Feel free to use that. Maybe you could put something like that on your Christmas or birthday wish. You know, a little, this is draftsman's tools, actually. It's drafting tools, but perfect for the kind of precise woodworking we're learning here.